Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, New York City, we have Michael Gronager. He's the founder and CEO of Chainalysis. We're out with the 2020 State of Crypto Crime report. Michael, it's great to have you back with us as always. There's a lot of data in this. This took me quite some time to get through the online version. It really is comprehensive. How long did it take for your team to put this together?
Probably a couple of months. We've been collecting data, of course, like every day and all the time, but to actually process the data and build the right narratives and get like clearance for the stuff that we could write took us a couple of months of effort.
Yeah, this is quite comprehensive. Now, there's 3 common threads that bind crypto crime. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so like I think that the overarching thing we see for 2019 is definitely around scams and Ponzi schemes. That's been a big narrative there. We talked about that last time as well. What we see as well as an increasing problem is actually the darknet markets. They've gone up. So that's another part that we've seen. Mm-hmm. And then I think that I would highlight the terrorist financing, even though it's counted in tens of thousands, so it's like small amounts in compared to the other ones. Then it's still a problem because like for $10,000 you can make a lot of harm and you can like amplify things that way. So these are like the things that I'd like to amplify there.
Let's talk about the white collar side of crypto crime.
Yes.
And what can be done about that?
White collar crime is like, that's many things, and I would say what we definitely see today in the crypto market is that there's a lot of price manipulation. Different exchanges, if you manipulated the price of an exchange in, say, China or other places in Asia, that will also influence the price here in the US. So the only thing you can do about that is trying to prevent the funds from those like badly maintained or badly run exchanges and easy to manipulate exchanges to easily influence the price other places. So that's again like doing proper compliance, put probably like stoppers, blockers around those kind of exchanges, and then you would definitely improve that setting.
In 2019, you were talking about scams, the year of the Ponzi scheme.
Yes, we are counting billions of dollars, and we've seen like individuals, not like rich people, but small people trying to pay into a scam. They think it's a good idea. They see that their investment goes up 10x or so in a short time, and suddenly they put their life savings into a scam, and it's all gone. So that's something we've seen increasingly, and it is tempting if you look at the crypto space because there's a lot of stories of actual high earnings and high returns, and when you suddenly see some new token popping up, you don't know whether it's a new Bitcoin or the new Ethereum, and if you don't have any way to validate it, you start paying in there and suddenly your money are gone.
Yeah, well, it's definitely FOMO, fear of missing out on the next big thing.
Yeah.
Sounds like investor protection. I have to do something about that. What are some of the ways that you can prevent scams?
So preventing scams is again like trying to be educated about how you're spending your money and investing there. Read probably up about things, talk to whoever is like more knowledgeable in the crypto space than yourself and try to understand it that way. So these are some ways to prevent it. If you look at it from a government point of view, it's again saying, well, use regulated exchanges, buy cryptocurrencies there. That's already a pretty good way to enter a market with high volatility and a good chance for earning money. As soon as you go to rogue web pages abroad, then you don't really know what happens.
Well, you have to be accountable for some of your own work as well and understand the product that you're trading or investing in. What about the good and bad news on ransomware?
So on ransomware, what we've seen there is that I would say the bad part around ransomware is definitely that we see ransomware as a service. You can basically download a toolkit, and using that toolkit, you can build your own ransomware campaign. And that means that you get a lot of smaller campaigns. So I would say if we look at 2019, the problem has decreased, it's been smaller, but also it's way more diverse. It's like a lot of small campaigns, as I mentioned, and it's concentrated mainly like almost half of the like earnings from ransomware has been here in North America. All
right, now, darknet. Tell us what that is and really how to respond to that kind of market activity.
Yeah, so darknet markets. So dark web is like the Tor browser. You can have an anonymous part of the internet where you can surf around and see things more or less anonymously. So it also means that you can run like the Amazon or the eBay where you can sell things that you are not allowed to sell anywhere else. You're still not allowed to sell
I took a look at some of it in this report,
yes.
And it blew my mind that people are sick. Let's just
people are sick,
like
yeah.
Wow.
But like what is then you can buy and sell, for example, drugs, weapons, anything from poison and other substances, and the thing is that you have a big marketplace there, and we actually see that there's been increasing volume in those marketplaces there. Again, like diversified, and if you look at it over time, There was one, Alphabet was clearly like the biggest of all revenue over time. That got shut down a couple of years ago, but we still see like darknet markets as being a problem. And it's growing.
Right. And you touched on terrorism financing, one of the smaller areas of crypto crime, but still concerning nonetheless, particularly as the world gets more adept with this kind of technology.
Yeah, and what we see in terms of the terrorist financing campaign has been that they've been increasingly sophisticated. So in the early days, they would basically set up an address on an exchange and ask people to pay there. That address is now on the OFAC list, so it's like a sanctioned address that you should not pay to, and if you pay to, you have a problem. Now they use like private wallets and different privacy settings in wallets, like CoinJoin, as it's called, and mixers, where they can get payments in a more anonymous way, but still, like using some of our technologies, you're able to trace into where the money moves in and where they end, and that leads to investigations into those like pretty nefarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hackers have certainly gotten more sophisticated, but let's wrap it up here with the evolution of crypto crime. What have you seen over the past 5 to 10 years, and what's being done to fight it going forward? Are we understanding more about this?
Yeah, so I think like over the past many years since I started Chainalysis, we've basically seen that crypto crime has gone from being probably the major activity in crypto, like 25-30% or so, if you look like 5 years back. And now, today, it's like 1%.
Oh,
so
that's
like,
amazing.
So it's really been good.
Yeah.
And I think like what we try to do is we try to also with the report to cast light on that all the time and say, this is the state, it's transparent, we can actually measure it, and we have a good understanding of it, and try to be the watchdog of the industry and ensure that like this stays at that low amount.
All right, Michael, great to see you as always. Thanks for catching up with us.
Likewise.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.